This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.
And welcome back. We all strive for success. If you're going to do something, no matter what it is, your personal life, your professional life, you want to succeed at that. Well, maybe success isn't showing up for you. Maybe it's not showing up in the way that you really wanted to. Maybe you need to redefine that success. We're going to talk about that today. She always gives so much amazing insight into the things that we deal with all the time, but we don't even realize half the time that we're dealing with them. She is a life coach at Strategic Development Life Coaching. Cindy Valente is back with us. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Good morning or afternoon. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. I'm intrigued about redefining success because many of us have that picture. What does success look like to you? Are we talking about maybe it isn't what you think it is?
Exactly. Exactly.
Hmm.
So I'll jump right in.
Sure.
Let's face it. We live in a society that is preoccupied with success. We strive for success. We dream about success. We read self-help books. We envy people who appear to be successful. So much focuses on the payoff and not the process. Success has actually become synonymous with well paid. But what's enough? So here we go with redefining. Money is a tool, not a scorecard. What feelings are we actually chasing when we chase money? Is it security, freedom, or recognition? So we ask ourselves, are there other ways we can experience that feeling right now that doesn't depend on our income? Money can open doors, absolutely, but it can't tell us where we actually want to go. So we go into, we want success to be, because our society tells us it's all about the money. And, back years ago, people used to ask, and you get introduced and somebody says, what do you do? Well, then it already turns into a judgment of how I'm going to relate to this person. I either am or I'm not. And I think there's so much focus on success being about money versus success being about your own interpersonal, your own success and what you see from yourself and your confidence. I mean, finding success in yourself, as we all know, creates confidence, self-assurance, all those important things. And I think that, of course, money is important. It turns the lights on. But if we can find other ways to find in ourselves our own success, I think we'd probably make a lot more money because we wouldn't be focusing on it. Actually.
Yeah, and also, there's that piece within. So many of us, chase the cars, chase the big house,
Right.
all of that. And if you talk to many who have had all of that, and they realize that it wasn't all that, and
Right.
they realize they could live on a shack on the beach and be
Right.
happy. And so
Exactly.
we're fed what success is.
That's exactly right. Our society has, put that into us, and it wasn't something we asked for. It was something learned over the generations of what is success. But so I think sometimes success, I mean, we all keep score. Everybody keeps score. Sports, life, jobs, family, everything, it's a score. So in my motto and in my mission in my business, I like to keep it simple. That's my motto. So we're going to talk about some sustainable, meaningful, and actual achievable success from this three-part scoreboard and what I think it means in simple terms. So the first one obviously is money. Money meaning, am I stable? So this is where we ask ourselves, do I have enough to feel safe and steady? It's not about being rich. It's about not constantly stressing over bills or the basics, just enough stability. The life doesn't feel shaky. which I think puts it into simple terms of, yes, it's important, but why is it important to us and what makes it important?
Well, isn't that the difference between what you need and what you want?
Hmm. Oh, absolutely. Oh, for sure.
Mm, yep.
You know, and you know, if you talk to somebody who has made it, their idea of success in their minds is, all of it. But a lot of people I've talked to some people who have just made it, they're worth more than they ever realized they'd be worth. And they go back to the basics of the family, the lifestyle, my health. I mean, those are wealthy, successful people that understand the context of it's more than just my bank account.
Yep. Mm. What else can you share?
You know, that's the me. So the second one is meaning. Do I care about what I'm doing? That's a big deal. I mean, making money is one thing, but if you don't care about how you're doing it, the money doesn't matter because you're so stressed out about it. It means nothing. So this is the why behind your days. It's the work or activities that feel worthwhile, interesting, or connected to something you care about. It doesn't need to be your life's purpose, just something that matters to you.
Mm.
And the third is maintenance. How am I doing? How am I doing really? This is your physical and emotional upkeep, your sleep, your stress, your relationships, and your body. Basically, are we taking care of ourselves so I can actually enjoy my life and keep it going? So, in a nutshell, do I feel stable? Do I care? And am I okay?
Those are the fundamentals, aren't they?
That's exactly right.
Like really, you know? And can you say those again? Just so they really,
Sure.
really resonate.
I I have notes. Hold on.
Those those three thoughts. Um, because once you've nailed all of them, that's success. And it doesn't have to come with a wheelbarrow full of money.
That's exactly right. I mean, I think that's where that's where we fall behind in our feeling about ourselves, in putting too much emphasis on money. We're always chasing the money. So security, freedom, recognition, and then the scoreboard for redefining success is money, the meaning,
Hmm.
the maintenance of our upkeep. And I think really that's the most important one to me is the maintenance. Are we taking care of ourselves? How is our sleep? How is our stress? How is our relationships? How is our body? And and at the end of the day, do we feel stable? Do I care? And am I okay? Those are the three basic scorecard uh, concepts. To me, that was important to me to put those things into context of what's important and back to the simplicity of that is important. How do we define success for ourselves and not look to others to either define us? Because we do, some people, we care more sometimes what others think than how we think of ourselves. And it puts us into a category of not feeling good about ourselves and going backwards sometimes. And I think that if we all can just take, for myself included, just take a step back and look at what the basics are in your life.
What are
Turn the
your
lights on, make the money. We all have to do that.
what's your thoughts for somebody who feels somewhat defeated? Let's say they've had a couple of ideas, they tried some side hustles. They're okay, doing all right. Things are okay, but they wanted to have some success with these couple of different ideas, but maybe things didn't pan out. Not off to the next one. It really didn't pan out. Um, how would you look at that? Should you take a look at it and say, all right, there was some success in that because maybe you learned a lesson. Maybe you partnered with the wrong people. Maybe you approached the project in a way that maybe wasn't going to pay off. Um, many of us feel defeated. How can we redefine success there?
Well, I think the first thing you have to ask yourself, are you chasing the wrong thing?
Mm,
Do you ever have that moment where you check all the boxes and still feel like something's missing?
hmm. Okay.
And then that's where you got to go, and that's where you realize you've got to check the right box. Where do you want to go? What do you want as your success? And we sometimes chase the wrong thing because we chase what other people think we should be doing. We're conditioned to, as we're growing up, you want to go in this direction. And sometimes we follow a pattern of what our families do, our siblings do, and chase the right thing. Chase what you want to chase.
Do
And it
you
can shift your mindset. It'll change it. It'll be
it,
better. You go your own direction.
it's a little it could be a little woo, but do you think that if you've tried certain things, you haven't gotten the level of success you expected from them? Do you think that maybe that's the universe's way of saying, no, that's not, you shouldn't be doing that. That's, you need to look in another direction.
Right. I mean,
Hmm.
that's exactly what it is. I think that we just need to not, I mean, if you want to be a doctor, why do you want to be a doctor? Or an attorney or a musician or a caretaker? What is it? What is your passion? What do you want to do? And find where you want to be. How do you want to make success out of that? If it's the drive for money, then that's not wrong. It just will create a lot of stress, that's for sure.
Hmm.
But I think it's just find your passion, and that will be where you find success in your own self.
Well, it's been said many times that if you follow your passion, the money will follow
Right.
you.
That's right. And if you have a failure, you reframe your failure as feedback, not as a reflection of your worth. So that goes back to, we always talk about failure, but if you can think about it as, all right, it happened, now what am I going to do about it?
Hmm.
And give yourself gratitude, give yourself peace, and it'll shift your definition of success.
That's a key point because we all get to that point where we start beating ourselves up, where things
Right.
didn't pan the way we wanted to. Um, and that's counterproductive too, just negative and how can you move forward when you just I failed again. I can't, this it's gonna why even bother? But that idea, forget it. I'll just keep doing my job, whatever it is. Um, but again, I'm starting to think that for many of us that it's not it's the universe's way of saying, put a block up here because that's not where you're supposed to be going. You may want to look over here. The
Right.
trick the trick is realizing the over here, where
And I
that
think
is.
that's where, crossing the bridge from where what, daily you say, oh, I need to, make a bigger paycheck. I mean, think of it like this. If you're in a job or something and you're making the same amount of money for 1 year, do you look at that as failure because you didn't make more? But what was the process? What did you learn through that process? What
Mm,
successes did you have in those processes? Everybody fails. Everybody has where we go backwards. That's fine. And we all do it. But how do you look upon your year and go, all right, these were the good moments, these were the bonuses, these were the pluses. And I'll strive to do differently next year. If the goal is money, making more money in the next year, what are you going to do about it? How are you going to make that happen? But enjoy the process.
well, like they say, it's not the destination, it is the journey.
Right. That's exactly, well, it's true.
And look at, people have won millions and millions of dollars in the lottery. There was no journey. It was, a scratch
Right.
off ticket and beep, money's here. And 90%, and that seems to be every time they do that survey, 90% of those people are miserable, don't have
Yep.
that money anymore.
Right. Yep.
Um, wish they didn't win, ruined their lives.
Yeah.
There was no journey. There was no
That's
journey.
exactly right.
Hmm.
So for them, it was, they dreamt about it. These are the dreamings of my success. And they finally got what they wanted. But, it's just like people who are born into, inheritances that they didn't earn. It's the same thing. They're still chasing their purpose instead of it just being handed to them. Where's their integrity? Where is their growth? Because it's just like winning the lottery. They didn't earn it. They don't know sometimes what to do with it. And it can be very dissatisfying lifestyle because everybody wants purpose. Everybody wants to earn their keep of whatever that is. And you have better self-assurance if you go out and earn it yourself. I mean, talk about, it's I'm dating myself, but look at the paper boys. They had to get up darn early. They had to wrap their own papers and, they earned it. And I know a lot of successful people that I grew up with that started at McDonald's.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good foundation for their success. And I'm sure it was minimum wage, but finding your own interests will create the success that I think we all want.
Do you feel, Cindy, that we all have a purpose?
Yes, yes. And it's our own personal journey. And, but, and one of the things that I want to talk about is the money comes in, but it also can be taken away from you. So if that is how you value success, you better enjoy the ride because it doesn't mean it's going to be there tomorrow.
Hmm.
It doesn't matter if you're in, doesn't matter what level of income you're in or what your career is. It used to be, 30, 40 years ago, people had jobs for 30 years. It's not that way anymore. So, you rise and rise, but when it's dependent on somebody else, you can earn it and it can also be taken away. And your own personal success, nobody can take away that. Nobody can take that away from you.
Yeah. Well, what's again, what is success? And it's so funny. The other day, to your point about nothing's guaranteed. I worked at a broadcast facility a lot of years, and I was going through a jewelry box, and I found the gold watch I got. Like you don't get that anymore. Uh, and on the back of it was the number of the ratings that we had at that time, and they were huge. So they gave out these watches and everything. Um, but should we, to better get a grip on what success is, should we follow exercises, write these things down, be clear about what you're looking for? Because you may think it, and our brains are always bouncing all over the place with ideas. To see it in front of you, okay, I'm starting out doing either a new endeavor or this is my life at the moment. What do I consider? Am I successful? Maybe that's even a question to ask. Am I successful?
You are if you want you're my if you are if you want to be. If you find what is your definition of success?
Well, there
I
you
mean,
go.
journaling, as we all, I say this time and time again because it's such a big deal to me is journaling. Because while you're writing down in your journaling of what success is, you will discover what truly matters to you, whether you try to or not. If you're trying to force it, but if you just start writing, your your creative flow will come to you. And then that will be what is your success.
Mm. Well, I bet you many of us, once we start thinking about this deeply, are going to have a couple of epiphanies where, I thought it was money. It's not. I'm good. I can pay the bills. It's all right.
Right.
Great to have more. Does make life a
Right.
little easier. But, success can be having peace.
And that is huge.
Mm.
Internal peace is a big deal, and um, I get asked, what do I make? I mean, that's just a common thing now. People want to know what you make. And I know it was meant on a monetary level, but my response was, I make changes in people's lives.
Mm.
And that made me realize that is successful to me. That is my success.
Yeah.
I get paid for being me. Nothing wrong with that.
Love that. Isn't it funny how we are fixated on salaries and money, what others
Right.
make? And, I'll date myself. Parade magazine comes with your newspaper, or used to. And once a year, they would do a full feature, multiple pages on different occupations and what people make.
Mhm.
And some of them's like, that's all they make. And then there's others, oh my God, all he does is walk around a floor of a factory and he's, making $500,000. Like what? But we get stuck on that. And maybe that's not the measure of success. Maybe that's not what it's all about.
It isn't. I mean,
Mhm.
it's so easy to judge others and judge ourselves, and it's not productive use of time or energy or our
Mhm.
mindsets. I
Yep.
think it takes away from our purpose, and I think it shrinks us to be something that we aren't. And if we can go into, like going back to journaling, write it down. What do you want to do? If this is not working for you, find something that does, and that will be your success, regardless of what your income is. I mean, not everybody cares about how much money they make, and I think that's great because they're going to love what they do. And those that make a lot of money and love it, love it. And that's great. I mean, everybody has their own level of success.
Um, Great conversation today, gotta say. I think it's, we truly are redefining success for people here because you might look at it in a different way. And I've been there, come up with ideas, projects, whatever. Um, and maybe they didn't take off. And what did I do?
Right.
You know what I did? Nothing. I just stopped. Time to take a look at things now. Maybe
Yeah.
there's a reason. Going to look at them. Nothing wrong with that. Take a couple of
No,
weeks
there's
and
nothing wrong with that.
analyze it. Take a look at it. Where you might be missing something because you're so deep in
Mhm.
the trenches of trying to succeed that you might not even be seeing it.
That's absolutely correct. I mean, it's easy to look at something for so long and not be on the outside looking in. Sometimes you ask somebody else, let me get your opinion on this because I've been in the trenches so long I can't see the trees through the forest. And so, I mean, I think that's excellent idea.
And therein lies perfect segue to cindyvalenti.com because you are that person to help us see things in a different way and an impartial view of it because your friends, your family, they're not always going to be honest with you. They're not going to, or they're going to tell you what they think you want to hear. And that's really not going to be productive.
That, that is true. Yes.
So, can somebody reach out to you if they're struggling with success or anything in terms of moving their life forward, even just if they want to ask a question and see if it's coaching is a right fit for them?
Oh, absolutely. I can be reached at my website, cindyvalenti.com. Also, my social media is off links on my website. And I'd love for you to DM me. I'd love to hear from you and help you create a life that truly matters.
Beautiful. CindyValente.com, cindyvalente.com. Thank you for today. Wonderful
Thank you.
conversation. So important. We take a lot of things for granted. The success thing, we need to look at that, many of us. And you might come up with
I
some
was
different answers.
I thought it was a good topic going into the holidays where we're going to spend a lot of time with family, friends, and I thought this might help put things into perspective for everybody to reach in and find their own personal success.
Absolutely.
It's
I
not always about the bank account.
appreciate it. Happy Thanksgiving, and we'll catch up next week.
Happy Thanksgiving. Thank you. Have a great day.
This is the Global Podcast Network, where executives and professionals connect, share, and inspire. Stay tuned for the conversations that drive success.